For those of you who are still here from the last session, I applaud you, I think. I gotta be honest, I might be an acquired taste. It's okay if you get up and walk out too. I will not be offended at all. But a couple quick things. What other sessions did you guys go to today? I've only been to one other that wasn't mine. So I need to know like what I missed. What did I miss? Oh, from the state, from Tracy, right? Gooley? Yeah. Was it super good? Was it helpful? Yeah. You can find them already. So now you know how to get a scribe for all of your students who need a scribe. Okay, cool. All right. So, did anybody go to KISS, the last one? Yeah? What'd I miss? You can put switches in lots of places and do lots of things with switches. Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. Only thing I really want to know: did they use a switch to go through their slide deck or anything like that, or did they fail on that front? They didn't even use a switch for that. Oh, it was right there. It was on the recipes. Okay. So did they share with you that technology is not for wimps? You have to be pretty brave to stand up in front of a bunch of people and say, watch this, and just fall on your face. Cool. Anything else? iOS was great, I bet. How much stuff did they go into, like all the accessibility features? Oh, I'm gonna have to watch that one. I have a student whose arms and legs are not currently functioning, so he's using voice control with the iPad and a chin mouse. But he may or may not be a first grader with an extensive 4-letter vocabulary. So it's really fun to watch him use iOS, I'm just gonna say. Because when it doesn't work, he lets her know. Yeah, first grade, adorable. Adorable. Okay, so we're gonna talk about everybody in your district being an assistive technology team member. Is anybody, how do you currently define your assistive technology team members? Are they the people who are on your list that you send to you at? Or you're like, wait, I don't even know who the assistive technology team members are in my district, right? So here's my motto. Everybody is an assistive technology expert until the point that they are not. Okay, so that is definitely a sliding scale. Anybody in here an assistive technology expert in their district or in their place of employment? What did I just say? Everybody. There we go. Everybody is. Is everybody the level of Austin? No, right? Austin gets paid. Yeah, I know. Robert's like, well, yeah, kind of. Anybody work with somebody who's like, I just figured out how to turn on my computer and open Microsoft Word, and you want me to what with a kid, right? Again, they are an assistive technology expert up until that point that they're not, right? I currently, well, here, let me, a couple quick things. Number one, I just always like to point these things out. Today for our assistive technology hacks or built-ins, we are using a Fluent font from Microsoft. Notice the font, it's a terrible background. I'll blur it out in a second. But notice that all the letters are more spaced out in between them. You can just hurry up and use this font for any student who struggles to read. It gets rid of the visual clutter. There's other fonts that do the same thing. I try and add them into all my slides, in part because, you know what? When things are bigger, you can't add too many words to a slide. This is a wordy slide, but mostly it's just to show that, okay? But it adds spaces in between the words and in between the letters. So for any struggling reader, it makes it a lot easier to use, okay? That's my hack number one. Hack number two is I increased my mouse size so that you guys can follow it around the screen when we get into some things. Okay, so my name is Erek Engar, like she said. I work for Davis School District. I am the assistive technology coach. That's what I changed my title to this year because specialist was a terrible title and it did not apply, I'll be honest. We have tons of specialists in our district. I'm not paid by anybody to be here, other than Austin did give our team $500 for our presentations. So just so you know, do have that financial incentive. bought LiveScribe pens, and I think we blew it all on LiveScribe pens, the updated ones. I'm excited for those, by the way. Okay. So who was here yesterday when we talked about Slack? Anyone? Raise your hands high and kind of went, what's a Slack? Is it Slackwater, the pub up in Sandy or in Ogden? So a couple different things. Slack is it's an internal communication tool. Microsoft, again, I am not employed by them, as you will soon find out, basically looked at what they were doing and said, yeah, we can do that, and created their own, right? So what it is, and we're gonna walk through how it works and how I use it in Davis School District. I am gonna tell you that communication is not my strongest point. So I do need good tools to help me do some things, right? And I'm not anybody's boss in my school district. So I don't get to tell people, hey, will you email everybody this? Or if I send an email, will you make sure it gets to all of these people? They just look at me and go, yeah, maybe, right? Yeah, we'll try. No, they're all great people, but they all have their own jobs too, right? So this is one way that I can access all of our special educators and related service providers in our school district, and share information with them, provide resources, and do a bunch of other things. So currently, whose school district has like a website for their assistive technology stuff? I do like hands, by the way. This is good for me to know. Couple, okay. Couple are like, that would be nice, okay. Who has like a Google Drive or a OneDrive that they've shared out with people on different resources? Okay, perfect. So does that include like assessments? So like a writing assessment? No, yeah, back in the back, yeah, extra credit team in the back, okay. So some of your assessment files and things are in there, tools for assessments that anybody could access, right? Because if I don't need to go out to a school and do an assessment, that's extra time for me. Plus, I don't get paid mileage in my job, so it's also money in my pocket. Be honest, okay. What else do you? Let's see. We do just resources. Who here uses like a word of the week for their AAC groups? Any of that kind of stuff? You guys do? Salt Lake District, Tooele. Okay, I know Salt Lake does. Anybody here from Salt Lake? No. Salt Lake. Oh no, I'm just kidding. Just because they're not here, they're online, guys. They're all online. Okay. So we have a ton of resources all in one place, and communication around those things all in one place for our whole school district. Okay. A couple of people who here's on the UAT teams who supports more than one school district. Anybody? One? Yeah, I feel for you. Let's see if some of this stuff might help you. Okay. So what? You and Chad, yeah. Oh, I don't know how you do it. That's a lot of area to cover. Okay, so I was gonna have everybody join teams, but it turned out to be too much work, so we're not gonna do that because I was gonna have us use it together. But instead, we're just gonna pretend. Anybody here not have a good imagination? Everybody, okay. I will be more direct in my instructions at those points in times to help you out. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna set up what are called channels. So basically think of conversation topics, right? Here's some of the ones I have in my school district. I actually have some other ones, and I'll talk about those in a minute. Reading. Who in their school district serves kids for the areas of reading for assistive technology? Probably every hand should go up, right? The number one disability in most of our school districts is a reading disability. Most kids get referred to special education in part with reading to start. Like that's their first cue that that there's an issue, right? So, and I said right as a pun, just jump right into writing. And how we do, and writing is another area. AAC or communication. And then I also have a channel just for individual team members, right? So just like our team. So just internal stuff that we talk about, that we tell everybody about, but we do it later, right? We hash some things out first, okay? What other kinds of things, categories are you looking at for assistive technology in the district where you work? Or did we cover everything? I got one more that's jumping out at me that I didn't put in. And back row, you want, what? So compliance kind of pieces? Oh, sensory, okay. Did you say compliance or did you say? Okay, self-regulation. Okay. No, it's occupational hazard for a special educator to be like, wait, rules? Yes, we know rules. Yeah, no, my bad. My bad. Yeah, sensory regulation kind of things, right? Absolutely. I don't have that channel yet. I'm going to be adding that soon, just letting you know. What else? Access, thank you, computer access. I was hoping our people who went to the iPad group and the switches were going to throw that out at me and say, oh, you're missing the one we just talked about. Yeah, so we're going to go through and we're going to actually do this together, okay? So we're going to go through and add some of those channels and then talk about how they work, okay? Tags we'll talk about later. We'll talk about most of this stuff in a minute. Okay, so let's go into Teams. This is Microsoft Teams, just at a quick glance. Each one of these little cells is an individual team that I happen to have to be a part of. I happen to have every single school district or every school in our district, but most people don't need that. Most people have like 1, 2, or 3 teams that they're a part of if you use Microsoft, okay? Microsoft, by the way, all of this is free for educators. So you can set this up, you can use all of this stuff. There is no cost involved in any of this, okay? So I created a team called UAT 2023, and that's where we're gonna do most of our stuff today, okay? When I open it up, I have a welcome announcement for everybody. And this is basically, do you remember when people used to have to explain the internet to people? We're gonna do a little bit of that today. So I'm gonna explain some things to you that are gonna sound just really wordy and chunky and not really explain what it is until you see it. Is that fair for everybody? Everybody willing to go along with me and go, he said what? Yeah, okay. So let's say I wanna send out an announcement. Right now, without Teams, my options are pretty much email, right? So I send an email out to everybody. When I email everybody out, what happens? What does that one person always do? Reply all. Somebody hits reply all. A couple other people reply all to tell people to stop replying all. Like you've been there, right? Okay. It's one of the downsides of email. And when I need to go back to find it, unless I have a good email strategy, which maybe next conference we'll do inbox zero as a strategy or as a tool. It's not really assistive technology, but it is helpful. It's sometimes hard to go back and find that information, right? Okay. Especially if somebody volunteered me to leave my position last session. I'm going to take them up on that soon. When I leave, those emails go with me, right? All of that information in those emails is gone. But in Teams, it all stays there, right? So I can go back and search for it. I can go back and find all of that communication. And instead of replying all, I can just hurry up and thumbs up it so I can see how many people have replied and a bunch of other things or have seen it. People can come back in and reply directly to the whole group, or they can just send a direct message to me, okay? And so they can do a bunch of different things, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add in our channels because channels are gonna be super helpful. So I'm gonna come up here, 3 little dots. We're gonna say add channel. We're gonna type in AAC first, okay? I'm gonna automatically show it for everybody even though nobody else is on this team right now. That's okay. So it's gonna add that channel. I'm gonna come back in here. Oh, whoops, wrong button. Add channel. Can I call it self-regulation or regulation work? Which do you like better? Self-regulation, okay. For people who were in here in the last session, notice how much my one-handed keyboarding has improved, even though it's not great, okay? So it's gonna add that self-regulation channel, and we're just gonna add one more for right now. So add a channel, and let's do for our iPads, let's do computer access. Because computer access is gonna cover what? All of those switches, all of those iPads, all of those touch screens, eye gaze devices, all of that kind of stuff, right? That's all gonna get kind of wrapped up into that one channel, okay? So let's hit add. Okay, so now I have my general channel, which has your welcome, And anybody can come in and start a new conversation. So anybody where in the district, if they even just want to ask me a question, but they kind of want to ask the whole group the question at the same time, they can do that. And people are only going to notice it because it's going to have a little red dot that says, hey, there's a new piece of information. You can go check it out if you want to. And it makes it bold as well. Okay. So let's go to self-regulation. And I'm going to start the conversation by saying, what tools do we have for self-regulation? Is that a good question for the group? Anyone? Because you guys are going to need to help me answer this. I'm just going to say, ready? You're buying in right now. Okay. And I can actually mention the whole team. And then I hit send. So now that's going to send that out to, like, it's going to notify it's going to ding on everybody's computer that's part of that team. Hey, somebody asked a question. Do you want to go help them respond? So now anybody in the whole school district can jump back in and say, oh, I have these things in my classroom that we use for self-regulation and they're fantastic. Or somebody's going to say, well, we just got a swing installed in our classroom, but we had to go through this process, and they're going to give the people that they need to contact to get that process done, right? Okay, you with me so far? Our imaginations are working. There are two people who raised their hand and said, I don't, no. Okay, so now somebody else can come back in and say, oh, I know what they can say. They can say, why don't you check the files above? Here we go. Okay, because right up at the top here, you see files. So everybody in here, most people in here are Google school districts, correct? Yeah, heads nodding, thank you. All right, I know it's tired and maybe you're falling asleep and that's what I'm counting as a head nod, that's fine too. So think of this as your Google Drive, but just for self-regulation. So all of my files for self-regulation can go right here. So if I have an OT who did a bunch of like pictures of things that you can use, I could add that file right to here. Or anybody on my team could or anybody on the whole district team, right, could upload that and say, hey, here's some files here's some ideas for self-regulation. Okay. What other things might people share that way? Is there a good assessment for self-regulation? No, because an OT has to do it, huh? You don't want us messing it up. No. I would mess it up. All the OTs are smiling right now, by the way. They're all, they would. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so are there some other things that we could share in the other files? This is not my area of expertise. Do you see why I'm relying on the whole team? Because I don't know what to do. Okay, yeah, so ours, we could actually add, I'm gonna jump right here off of that. Oops. I'm jumping back to our last session. For anybody that was there, I'm gonna go to forms. I'm gonna grab copy my referral form, collect responses. I'm gonna copy that link. I'm gonna come back to my team and my self-regulation, and I could say, hey, you need to do a referral. Here's the form. And there we go. Now everybody on the whole team goes, oh yeah, that's the referral form. I have access to it really quick. I usually stick those, by the way, right in the top up here as well, so that they're just easy for the whole team to access, right? So the whole team can do that. Okay. And then what happens, Robert, when somebody fills out a referral? Yeah. So on this one, it automatically goes into all of our AT referrals. These are the referrals we did last session, by the way. It automatically takes that form, creates a referral for it, and then we have a whole process to follow already done. Okay. You can go back and watch the recording on that one. Okay. Let's go back to AAC. What other kind of files might we stick in an AAC team or a channel? I mentioned word of the week. That's where we keep ours. So everybody, TAs, whoever, can go and access those files for word of the week. What else? You know what form that is for me? That's the loan agreement form. Took me like 6 months to add it to that. People kept asking for it, and I was like, I swear it's in there. So I just kept sending it to them. But then I was like, oh yeah, I need to double check and make sure it's there. That loan agreement form, right? If you need to do this needs to go home for the after school or for the summer, and we want to do a loan agreement, you just put that form in there. Everybody can go and access it, right? Because they email you every time, right? Which is more work for you, not less. Okay. What other kind of things might you put in there? You can add videos. You can add, I'm going to qualify that one. So we can add stream videos, which is Microsoft's like internal video player kind of stuff that way, but you could put links to those. So, and that would like, even if it was like, hey, here's a link of AAC core language vocabulary lessons that we use. Make sure in our district, we have to make sure they're all pre-approved if they're on YouTube, but whatever. You probably have the same things, but you could put that whole link of those core vocabulary words, share it with the whole team, right? Again, less work for me. That's how you cover 93 schools, right? That's how you share information. That's how you make that person who just learned how to turn on their computer part of your AT team and an expert in AT, because they have something like that. I promise they do. They all have something like that that they can share. And then you can go in as the leader and say, hey, let's edit some of this content here and there, right? Like this isn't really helpful. I'll contact them, let them know, and take it out, right? Or you can limit who gets to add what. Okay, you can have a process for that. You can say, if you want to add something, let me know. We'll get it added. Does anybody in here use like a quick informal AAC language kind of screener tool? So I'm trying to think of some of the ones off the top of my head. I know there's one called the Cole. It's Chris Bouguet developed it in school district back east. It'll come to me in a minute. So bad with names. Loudoun County. See, thank you. It came to me. I told you it would. I just didn't tell you it'd come through Robert. Yeah, so there's the Cole, which is just like a quick little Excel sheet. You just go mark through like, hey, this kid can do this, it can't do this, this, and this, and it spits you out basically like a nice little report at the end. It's the COLE, the Continuum of Language Expression. No, what's the E for? It'll come to me in a minute. That was a callback, by the way. Sorry. People are not, it's late in the day. What other kinds of things might your team add in, or questions that you get from team members or that you have for your assistive technology team? Any of those? Let's go ahead and work. This is, by the way, I forgot to say this. This is a pretty participatory session, so you're gonna need to spit it out. Other questions that you get on a regular basis? Can I have an iPad, right? Yeah. And that's not even limited to AAC, right? It's just, hey, can I get an iPad? Yeah. Yeah. You could put all your low-tech stuff in there, exactly. So you could put PDFs or other things of low-tech core communication boards. I know a couple years ago we made some, and some of these things are coming to me, and I got to remember them afterwards because I need to stick them in there. One of them could be a link. Like we have a printing department in our school district. Again, we're slightly larger school district, so that's why we do. But they'll print those for us. I could even put the form to get those printed in there, pre-filled with the information they need. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. What other kinds of things? What about information that needs to go home to parents related to AAC besides the loan agreement? Like, let's say I was Robert Woodbury or something like that, just a name that I'm just pulling out for no good reason. And I had a couple of videos that were all about getting parents and other communication partners started using AAC. I could link all of those right in here too, right? I could do my professional development things in here. So for next year, we're working on a coaching, like a modeling skill set that we need our teachers to do. So we're going to use SMORES, SMORRES, as our model, just as a quick way to slow the rate of speech, all of that kind of stuff for people to remember. And we're going to develop like some lessons on getting people up and using that. We're going to throw that in there, right? So now everybody has access when they're like, hey, we need to know how to do this. There's videos and other things right there for them. Okay. We're still going to go out and help, obviously, but we don't have to go out and help on every single one, right? Which is better. If you're a teacher and you're waiting on me, you're probably pretty frustrated, but if you can just go get that stuff, you're probably pretty happy, right? Okay, all right. Any other kinds of things we would stick in files? Okay. I'm gonna throw in one other channel that we need real quick that we talked about yesterday. We kind of, oh, whoops, that's the wrong button again. Add channel, we're gonna type in celebrations. And we're gonna do a celebration channel, right? So anytime somebody has something that's cool and that's working great, like if I see it out in the schools, I'm gonna post it. If they're like, no, I just want to share this with everybody, like my kid did this amazing thing, like they finally used their AAC device to X, Y, and Z, perfect, right? If I get my one student to clean up his vocabulary for Siri, I think that's a celebration, right? Okay, so celebrations. So now I can come in here, I can do a new conversation, and I can either do a conversation or an announcement, or I can just do a GIF, and we can do type in celebrations. Here we go. We're gonna do this one, even though I don't know who that is because I am old, right? And we're gonna get people participating more and more. So one thing that we've done is, how do you encourage participation? The first thing I'm gonna say is having everybody be part of it is really helpful. But when I post something, I usually post the expected action along with it. So if we say, hey, it's the first of the year, here's the word of the week lessons, give a thumbs up if you saw how to access them. And people can just go in and throw a thumbs up on the comments on those. And so I can quickly see like how many people have like looked at that and followed all of the directions, okay? So anytime, most of the time, not anytime, a lot of times when I share things out, again, I share what the expected response is so that I can get people participating. Here is the secret sauce, and here's the only reason that I'm up here talking about this. The people who participate in this are almost to a T the people who won't participate in anything else. They do amazing. I have good friends, and I have sat next to them in staff development meetings. I have worked with them on many levels, and honestly, I wonder sometimes like why they're coming to work, because they just don't really seem to be that into it. When we give them another way to participate like this, they are the first ones to comment. They are the first ones to share resources. They are the first ones to like support other people. It's crazy. It's like, it's just been amazing to watch. So that's one way to get people to participate. The other thing I'll do is I'll assign people. So I'll come out to a school and I'll say, you are doing, that is so cool. Will you please share that in this channel? And do I have to say, it's this team and it's this channel? Yeah, I still do that. Like we started this last year, and there's still people who are like, I don't even know what you're talking about, Eric. My computer dings and I see this stuff once in a while, but I'm busy. But we'll just help them walk through and have them post stuff, right? People listen to their peers more than they listen to me. I'm not gonna lie, I'm okay with that, because their peers know what's going on, right? They're in the same boat. I can come in and say, you should try this, you should try this. This is a proven intervention, like this is really good. And they're gonna be like, yeah, as soon as you leave, I've got to do this, 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 and this. How am I gonna do that? But their peers know that too. And so their peers will share what works for them, right? Okay. Does anybody in here use Slack or any other messaging systems? The young people. I had, yeah, you guys use, well, Robert, are you just talking about the assistive technology one? Yeah, it takes a minute to get used to, right? Like it's different than an email. So I'm gonna define email versus Teams or Slack, okay? And what I would recommend is email you treat like an outside to-do list. It's a way for people outside of your little group to add things for you to do, right? When they email you something, you should either have something to do with it right away, or you need to do it later, or you just need to like respond and get it off your plate, right? Like you should have like 3-4 things that you do with any email coming in, but it should be like things that you need to do, right? And those things should be coming off as fast as possible. And you can archive those, so you can always go back and find that information. Teams and Slack should be a conversation. So when you email somebody right now and you're like, hey, do you have that that form, right? Do you have that loan agreement? And I say, yep, I sure do. Here it is linked. And then they respond back and they go, okay, cool, thanks. And then I say, hey, yeah, no problem, right? Now we've just sent out like way more emails that we have to, you're just like, hate those emails. Sorry, I like to find my people in the audience, thank you. It's a little bit rough, right? But that's how we're used to using email. Email isn't good for that. It's not good for conversations. Slack, Teams, really good for conversations because you can follow them or not follow them. You can ignore them. You can go back and read them all at once everybody's responded. And it's a lot easier that way, okay? So that's the idea behind using conversations in Teams to do that. Having said that, I can also direct message people, so I can basically text them through Teams. I can pull up a video chat and just meet with them right then. I can do all of those things as well. So I don't have to leave Teams and go to Zoom or to Google or whatever. I can just do it all right there, okay? But the biggest part is I can share all of that information in one place, and I can lock that information too. So for writing, for example, last year we did a series of 4 or 5 lessons for using speech to text, because I'm just gonna jump on my soapbox for a minute. We teach kids how to handwrite, we teach kids how to type, and then we hand them speech to text, right? See the difference? We teach them, we hand it to them and say, here you go, here's a microphone. Actually a pretty good skill. I'm gonna guess, if anybody wants to monetize this, this is yours. If you develop a good lesson plan and series of lessons, like an online tool for teaching kids how to use speech to text and word prediction to write, 5 years from now, it's gonna be in every school just like keyboarding classes are, because it's just another way to write. Yeah, somebody's gonna take that idea and run with it. It's yours, okay? No, not even a finder's fee. Just include my name somewhere, right? In one of the lessons. Have them spell check it. But again, it's a skill you need to know. So we put all the lessons, we just did them in PowerPoint slides and a couple other little things. But again, I could link other tools that people are using into there for the lessons. And then I forgot to password protect those lessons. And then they all disappeared. I had somebody who just went in and like accidentally deleted them all. It was the person who just learned how to turn on their computer and open up Word. They were like, oh yeah. And then they managed to delete stuff, right? But again, you can just password protect all of those files so that they basically get a copy of it, right? Instead of the original, and they can't delete them out, okay? But again, all of your files, all of your assessments. So we use the written productivity profile a lot with students. And I'll be honest, like it's a fun test to give, but it doesn't need to be me doing it. It's really just having the student write, keyboard, and do a couple other things to compare those. Somebody else can do that and I can walk them through it, which makes it more efficient for them because it gets done sooner. And then I can focus on higher level problems too, okay? And everybody has the resources. Same thing with reading, like we'll do the protocol for accommodations in reading. We use the old school version of it, so it's still the paper forms and stuff like that, but they've got all the reading passages and everything to do right there, okay? Okay. So right now you might be thinking, that's cool, Erek, but we don't use Microsoft and we don't use Teams. Thank you for nodding your head. Let's talk about some of the analogous options, okay? So we talked about one for files. Google Drive works the same way, right? You can share out, that whole file library with everyone, and they can all have access to those. You can password protect those things. You can keep all of that stuff. What are some of your other options for like that communication tool though? So the chats, the conversations, and the channels, those kinds of things. One other option is Slack. I personally don't like Slack quite as much. It doesn't do some of the things I like it to do, but I think most people who live in the business world live and breathe it and they love it, right? So that just tells me that there's a few things I need to learn about it. The other reason I don't like it is because I put it in dark mode and it's harder to see. I just need to switch it back because I'm old. But it also doesn't have quite as many like commenting things and some other things that Teams has. So that's part of why I like that. But you can set up a free version of Slack and just bring in all of your people that way. And you can share all of that information. It limits some of the functionality if you're not using the paid version. But again, you can do Microsoft Teams, it's free. You just got to add all your team members. The other thing you can do is you can tag people. So I have an AAC tag. So just like I did, hey, at the whole team, I can say, hey, at AAC group, here's some information for just you, right? So it won't alert everybody. So that reply all message, I just reduced it to only the people that needed it, right? And I included them in that conversation. I have a reading group, a writing group, a couple other things. We have a artificial intelligence communication partner channel. It's Alexa, by the way, for like tips and tricks on how they can use Alexas in their classroom, like setting up reminders. But really, we wanted them kids using their AAC devices to talk to Alexa, who would then respond back to them. Right? It's an artificial. I can do it in the channel and even smaller than that if I want to, just the tag. Yep. And so somebody who's not in that channel. Yep. Yeah, so it narrows down who gets that information. I mean, everybody can still go back and find it if they want to, but ain't nobody got time for that, right? So it just helps narrow down that information. So again, all of our files, all of our communication, all of our celebrations, all of that stuff goes out to everybody, and everybody has access to it, as long as they spend some time getting to know Teams, right? And that's really that's been our biggest onboarding thing, is having people start using Teams versus Outlook versus OneDrive versus all of those other things, because it's really all of those things in one. Okay?
So you just throw everyone in and they have to opt out?
Yeah, I do. I do. I opt them all in. Anybody can leave the team if they want to. If they're like, no, this isn't for me, they can totally opt out, right? Which is nice, right? Because I don't need to be talking to people who don't want to listen to me either. Like, that's fine. But when they say, hey, where's that form? I say, yeah, it's right there. And but no, all of our new teachers. So when I get the list right before the school year starts, I just add them all in. And as part of our induction process, we walk them through it. Say, here's where you're going to find this. Here's where you're going to find this. Here's how you're going to contact me. Here's how you're going to do a referral. Here's what we're going to do with that. So, yep. Yeah. It makes it nice, right? Because, if I keep doing that for 5 more years, pretty soon I'm going to have like 90% of the teachers, because turnover rates, right? Okay. But the nice thing is too, is when they're new to the team or new to the school district, they can go back and find all of the old conversations still, right? So when somebody asked about sensory regulation stuff, even though it was last year and I didn't work here this year, I can still go back and find that and read that conversation and get that information, right? So it's not information that went out in one email and is really just kind of gone forever, and anybody new, sorry, you don't get it. It's there for everybody, which I think is really powerful and worth the time. Yep. Okay. So what I do is I go through and I add everybody to start with. I pulled the whole list and I just added everybody who was already there. And then I went back and I tagged them. So if they were an SLP, I tagged them with an SLP and an AAC. If they were an OT, I tagged them with OT and usually writing and computer access or positioning stuff. And again, the tags can be whatever you want. If they were what we call an essential elements teacher, so functional skills, that kind of stuff, I tagged them with that, as well as AAC probably, because most of their kids are going to be AAC users, right? Yeah, and I utilized a secretary, so we just divided and conquered. I said, you take this part of the list, I'll take this part of the list. I spent an afternoon. And once I had everybody in, the nice part is when somebody leaves, they automatically leave the team. When somebody gets hired, we just have a process to add them to it. So that list is always pretty current. And so we can always communicate with everybody. And yeah, setting it up the first time is definitely the longest part. But once it's done, it's done. And then it's just a little bit of maintenance every year, which works out pretty well. Okay. All right. Any other questions, concerns? Anything, I like to do a feature wish list. So like, what should it be able to do for you that we haven't already discussed? Do we sort of nail it?
Did you have?
Does it interface with your calendar?
Yeah, so does it interface with your Outlook calendar? It does. So I can, even in Teams, I can add, and I don't want to say too much because maybe it won't work for everybody that way. We're a Microsoft district, so all of our tools are Microsoft, so it's seamless for us. But yeah, I can set up meetings in there. I can do a whole bunch of different things. I can do chats. I can do a whole bunch of other stuff. If I pull up the calendar right now, it'll show my calendar. And I can set up a meeting right from there. I can do all of that kind of stuff. So if I need to meet with, the other way we use it is the chat feature, especially, which is separate than this part. But I'm not going to pull it up because I have chats about students in there. Sorry. So what I'll do is instead of doing an email to the teacher, the OT, the PT, and the school psychologist who are all part of a reevaluation, I'll just start a new chat with them and say, hey, here's the information on this kid. Let's just keep discussing it right here, right? So instead of email chains that go back and forth, it's just all in one chat. So, yep. Yeah. How is, yeah. So yeah, so again, I'm going to explain the internet. It's going to sound awkward. I apologize. Just know that. Yeah, anytime. I don't mean that like facetiously against you. I'm saying it's this weird thing that's like easy but hard to explain. So that's on me. So Outlook is a calendar system and an email system primarily, right? It also has a to-do list and some other features built in. Those lines keep getting blurrier and blurrier. Teams is more internal chat and file sharing and those kinds of things. And that information stays there for everybody on the team versus Outlook, where if you and I email each other, Kent, then you and I email each other, period, right? And if I leave, you're the only one with access to that information anymore. Whereas if I have a discussion on Teams with you in that, and it's about things that apply to other people, then I can just include all those, all those other people. We can just do it in the regular conversation channel and everybody has that information. So Teams is free for educators. So you can download it and use it. You do need to link your account to Office 365, but again, for educators, that's free. I haven't had to do it, and I don't have like I didn't have anybody to practice with because everybody in my office already has access to it. So what I would do is I would go back and ask your IT department a little bit and say, hey, we need a way to communicate about assistive technology with all of our special educators and our related service providers, et cetera. We want to use Teams or Slack or something like that. What do we do? And they'll walk you through that process. There's a nerd that knows that. Yeah, and odds are your IT department is already using a tool. They're either using Slack or Teams. I 100% guarantee your IT department is 100% using something, because that's where this comes from, is that group, right? So yeah. You're part of what? Sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you have a couple of unique things. Do you guys use Google Drive, that kind of stuff? Yeah. And Outlook is your email client. So you use Outlook for your emails, but you have Google Drive for like files and information that way. Okay. So I'll say what little I know of a similar organization. So CTA supports, community supports, is they do all of the supported living and job stuff, that kind of stuff. They use Slack for all of their internal communication. So if I'm in a group home, and they pay for a license. So we pay for a Microsoft license in our district. It's per person. So if you're like, how many people are in your organization would depend on the cost. So there's a cost, like if you're an independent group, there's going to be a cost associated. You can use the free version of Slack, but you'd play around with it a little bit. But like, so if I'm at a group home and there's a supervisor in the main office who oversees 10 group homes, like all of those group homes communicate with them through Slack, and that supervisor communicates with that group home through a Slack channel. So for that house or that community setting or whatever it is, so they communicate in that, there's a channel for them. Does that make sense? Yeah, I know, it's explaining the internet.
The little gremlin, if I can say, this all sounds really great, but I'm worried about the time. Do you have any, like, uphill struggles getting this going?
Yeah. So I think that's a great question, and I'll repeat it. So is it worth the time and effort to go through and put into it, and then everybody's like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks? I'm going to say two things. Number one, like, again, in Davis School District, we use Teams a lot for a lot of things. One of the reasons I use that planner feature for all of their IEPs and eligibilities at their school location was to get them to buy into that. Do we still have people who will send an email to everyone? You bet. Are some of those maybe my bosses? You bet. Like internally in our special ed department, our secretaries insist on emailing everyone. They'll only send emails. They won't do anything in Teams, even though we have a team just for that, right? Again, everybody's an expert until they're not. This is a callback, by the way. It's a rhetorical device. Sorry. Thanks to anybody who laughed at that. It was not funny. But now I'm gonna not be able to stop laughing. So we take everybody where they are, and we just try and move everybody forward. Again, the more people we onboard, especially as they're new, the easier that gets. Like, have we reached critical mass? We've probably reached critical mass over 3 years. A lot of that depends. Like, I remember when I said I'm not really good at communication. Like, I'll forget to post things. I'll forget to add things. I'll leave it vacant for like a month sometimes, just because I'm busy with some other things, or I got sick or whatever. So really, what I did this year, and then everything changed, right? Because that's the way my school years typically go, was I just wrote out a calendar of here's the topics that I'm going to do. If I needed to cheat and have a list of topics, I would download Inclusive 360. I would buy a copy of Inclusive 365, the book. Yeah, you have it? No? Yeah, which is one assistive technology like tip a day, or like one topic. So it goes through, hey, here's the problem you're trying to solve, and then here's some tools that you can use to solve that. There's like one a day. So I don't even need to like reinvent the wheel. I just need to give credit where credit's due and say, hey, I got this from this book. Here's this cool thing. Here's our spin on it, right? So I'm not plagiarizing. So I can find an endless list of things to constantly keep sharing and updating. But again, the more I ask people to communicate back, the better it gets. The more meaningful that information is, the better it gets. If I'm not meeting their needs, people are pretty good about saying, what are you doing? And then I know, right? I get that feedback faster than I do from an email that they never respond back to. So, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, is there a growing curve? Yeah, absolutely. I will say when we first started it, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not a young man. Do you want to play guess that age? We can do that later. Lowest price without going over. But don't start near 40. Okay. You would go over there. Whew. Okay. The gray's just in the beard. It's not really in the hair yet. Give it another year. But totally forgot what I was going to say now. What was I going to say? What were we talking about? Oh, when we first started, most of our Teams was new to our school district, so nobody knew what it was or how to use it, right? So there was that basic onboarding process of here's what it is, here's how it works, here's how we use it. And then we picked some people who were good at it to model how to use it, right? So they would share things out and they would respond back to other people's comments and questions, right? So we had coaches for that, right? So we identified our early adopters, our nerds, and said, help us out, okay? We did, we put some ringers in and said, see, other people are using it. And again, when it's their peers, it goes a long way, I gotta say. It goes a long, long way. Okay. I said we'd get out early, and I meant it. I'm sorry it's not quite as early, but I am more than happy to stick around, answer questions, any of that kind of stuff. You guys have been fantastic. Thanks for pulling through at the end of a long, long day. Again, I'll stick around if you have any questions. If not, thanks so much.